Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam. We'll continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Al-Quran, the Truth of Man and Spares. We're still reading from Surah Al-Qabr, and we have reached verse 41, which is a brief account of what happened to Fir'aun and to his family, to his people, who rejected basically the message, the universal message of Islam that Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam brought to him. We read inshallah and comment. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد جاء آل فرعون النذر. And indeed the warnings also came to the people of Pharaoh. آياتنا كلها فأخذناهم أخذ عزيز مقتدر. They rejected all of our signs. But they rejected, like after they have received the warnings, after they have been challenged, after Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam showed them the signs, the miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala availed to him, they rejected. كذبوا here is a rejection. They rejected all of our signs, بآياتنا كلها, all of our signs, all the miracles. So we seized them with the crushing grip of the Almighty. Of course, it's understood from the context. فأخذناهم أخذ عزيز أخذناهم. We seized them. Here, it's a show of the might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mighty, is omnipotent, and of course, metaphorically, it's a crushing. He took them with a crushing grip, the crushing grip of the Almighty, most powerful, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Needless to say, we have spoken about this before in previous sessions, about the end, about the Sayyidina Musa splitting the sea so that his people could pass through two mountains of water, like the water piled up on both sides as if it's not water. As if it's not water. Subhanallah, water is it's in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because water, that's basically what you use to go from one place to the other. Ships. Still we depend on ships until today in terms of you can transfer people and some goods in aeroplanes, but some ships are so massive that they are beyond our imagination. So the water is a way, but sometimes the water is one of the soldiers, metaphorically speaking, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could use to, the water itself could use against the wicked. And sometimes people are tested even when they are believers. But one thing about water is that it has not been colonized. You have international laws governing maritime borders, and you have like some miles belonging to sovereign states offshore. But if you think about the vast oceans, they are not colonized. No one claims a piece of water as no one claims sovereignty over a piece of water. Piece of water, I'm talking about an area. At any rate, it's the power of water from which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything living, but sometimes it is used as a punishment to drown the people of the Pharaoh. They drowned in the water. Once Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and his people passed through, and the Pharaoh and his soldiers were in the middle, the water caved in on them. No law of physics can explain this. It's not shallow water. And there is a silly, let me call it a silly attempt. Of course, the intention of those who tried to make a documentary, you cannot make a documentary about the past. But it was an attempt to understand what happened to Prophet Moses that is not at all prophetic, that is not at all divine intervention, that they try to explain what happened in terms of the laws of nature, and they came up with the idea in that documentary that there must have been severe wind of some 700 miles per hour that pushed the water to one side, and Prophet Moses crossed, and then when there was no wind, the water went back to its place. And no one in all of those who prepared for this documentary, if you will, no one, not the producer, not the scriptwriter, not the whoever came up with the idea, not the director, not all of those who were, none of them asked the question why that wind could basically push that body of water. And people don't understand when we talk about such a body of water, the weight of this body of water. But assume for a second that what they have came up with is true, why that wind could push away all that water, and it cannot basically push Prophet Moses and his the people, the children of Israel. Isn't that so? That severe wind is selective. And by the way, when you have a wind of 700 miles per hour, it does rip the flesh off the bones. No, it's not. When you talk about a miracle, it defies the laws of physics that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in place. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees the Pharaoh and his soldiers at the very last second. He could not even say that I believe in God. He did not say I regret. He did not say God, please forgive me. Whatever. He said, I believe in the one that Moses believed in and the children of Israel. He divinized himself. And people, when we say he divinized himself. And he told people, you have no God other than myself. And there are people today, maybe not many, maybe one only, who behaves as God, giving humanity a taste of how the Pharaoh behaved. And maybe it's even worse. أكفاركم خير من أولئكم أم لكم براءة في الزبر. Now, after basically mentioning the people of what happened to the people, the Pharaoh and his people, what happened to Thamud, what happened to Ad, what happened to the people of Lot, what happened to the people of Noah. Now the narrative shifts to the Meccan idolaters, the polytheists. أكفاركم خير من أولئكم أم لكم براءة في الزبر. Now, are you addressing the Meccan disbelievers? Are you disbelievers superior to those destroyed people from before? It's understood. Min ulaikum, those, because in the surah it covered a few people who were destroyed as a punishment for rejection. So the narrative now: are you better than those, or have you been granted immunity from punishment in divine books? Zubur. الزبور, divine books in the plural. أم يقولون نحن جميع منتصر? Or do they say we are all a united front, bound to prevail? سيهزم الجمع ويولون الدبر. سيهزم الجمع ويولون الدبر. Soon their united front will be defeated, and they will be forced to flee. This was fulfilled. Later fulfilled in the Battle of Badr, and we have a hadith mentioned, narrated by Al-Bukhari in his compendia. The hadith says, this is the immediate narrator is Ibn Abbas, that the Prophet ﷺ said, and he was in a tent, a dome, they call it, that they have erected for him on the day of Badr. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fulfill his covenant and his promise, and he said, oh God, my Lord, and if you will, if it's thy will, you will not be worshipped. If it's thy will that we will be defeated after this day, that you will not be worshipped after this day on earth at all. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu took his hand to the hand of the Prophet, and he told him, Hasbuk, Ya Rasulullah, suffice it, it's enough. You have insisted, you have made your case, if you will, in the pleading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At that moment, فَخَرَجَ وَهُوَ يَثُبُ فِي الدِّرْعِ. So the Prophet ﷺ left his qubba, his dome, his tent. He jumped, and he was in his shield, ready to fight. And at that moment, he said this particular verse 45, سيهزم الجمع ويولون الدبر, and he mentioned verse 46, بل الساعة موعدهم والساعة أدهى وأمر. سيهزم الجمع ويولون الدبر. Soon their united front will be defeated and forced to flee. They will turn their back. بل الساعة موعدهم والساعة أدهى وأمر. Better yet, the hour is their appointed time, and the hour will be most catastrophic and most bitter. And There's another narration when this verse was revealed, verse 45. Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab said, سيهزم الجمع, the gathering, the front, the united front. So Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab asked, what Jam'a, أي جمع يهزم, which one that will be defeated? And he repeated it in more than one form, still the same thing. Umar radiallahu anh, said that then when it was the day of Badr, I saw the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam يثب في الدرع, jumping basically when he was in his shield fighting. وهو يقول سيهزم الجمع ويولون الدبر. He said, he completed this hadith by saying, Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab, by saying, فَعَرَفْتُ تَأْوِيلَهَا يَوْمٍ. It is that on that day that I understood the meaning of this verse. It was manifest. And another hadith from Aisha, radiallahu anha, al-Mu'mineen, mother of the faithful, she said that it was that this verse, in fact, verse 46, بَلِ السَّاعَةُ مَوْعِدُهُمْ وَالسَّاعَةُ أَدْهَى وَأَمَرُ. Better yet, the hour is their appointed time, and the hour will be most catastrophic and most bitter. She said, anha, it was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Mecca, and I was a young girl playing, and she mentioned this verse, and this narration is a brief narration, and this is a narration by Bukhari again. So we talk about a sound tradition. بل مجرمين في ضلال وسعر. Indeed, the wicked are entrenched in misguidance and are bound for blazes. يَمُسْحَبُونَ فِي النَّارِ عَلَى وُجُوهِهِمْ ذُوقُوا مَسَّ السَّقَرِ. On the day they will be dragged into the fire. On their faces they will be told, taste the touch of hell. On their faces, there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, part of it says, وَهَلْ يَكُبُّ النَّاسَ عَلَى وُجُوهِهِمْ أو قال على مناخرهم يوم القيامة إلا حصاد ألسنتهم. He said, is it not the case that on the day of judgment people will be thrown on their faces, and another version of this hadith, on their noses, which is still the face, on the day of judgment, except as the harvest of their tongues. And this is the beginning of the hadith. Hold on to your tongue, hold on to this, control your tongue still. And in the Quran says, لَنَسْفَعًا بِالنَّاصِيَةِ. It's a warning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish with hellfire the forehead. And nasi is the forehead, which means again on their faces. Inna kulla shay'in khalaqnahu. Indeed, we have created everything perfectly, preordained, in measure, decreed. وَمَا أَمْرُنَا إِلَّا وَاحِدَةٌ كَلَمْحٍ بِالْبَصَرِ. Our command is but a single word done in the blink of an eye. Kun, for example, be. And our scholars understood, since it's kalamhin bil basar, this be in Arabic, kun, two letters, kaf and nun. In English, the translation B and E, they said the decree, the divine command, takes place between al-kaf and nun, between the B and the E. A single word, wahida. It's B, it's kun. And it is, and it will be. أشياعكم فهل من مدكر. We have already destroyed the likes of you. So will any of you be mindful? وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ فَعَلُوهُ فِي الزُّبُرِ. Everything they have done is listed in their records. وَكُلُّ صَغِيرٍ وَكَبِيرٍ مُسْتَطَرٍ. Every matter, small and large, is written precisely. إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ وَنَهَرٍ. Indeed, the righteous will be amid gardens and rivers. Rivers of water, rivers of milk, rivers of honey, rivers of wine. It's unlike what we have here in this life. في مقعد صدق عند مليك مقتدر. At the seat of honor, in the presence of the most powerful sovereign. This is why some people are worried about being punished in hellfire. Some people are worried about missing paradise, and those who have attained the true knowledge, they are worried. They are very worried about not being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. Inshallah, we will. This is the end of this surah, and we will continue with Surah Al-Rahman at the beginning of the next session. Until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.